Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a little bit shorter than usual, but hopefully the advice and content will still be of a high quality. Okay, so be honest now, how often have you read a novel that started off with this really exciting premise and then suddenly it just starts to fall apart? You've got the saggy middle and the dud ending. Fortunately, my own novel, Every Time He Dies, has been described as an enticing ending and impossible to put down second half. So I typically give a book about 50 to 100 pages to hook me. You'll often find, especially between the 50 page and the 100 page mark, that's when a story's threads will start to unravel in an unintentional way. And you'll start to hit that like sort of saggy middle point. So that's my general rule of thumb, because let's be honest, there are way too many good books out there to be spending any time reading a kind of meh book. So if you yourself suspect that your book maybe does have a saggy middle or a dud ending, I wanted to provide you with a few ideas on how you can resolve that situation. Because here's the really good news. You can totally fix this. This is a completely fixable problem. If you think that maybe your book does have a saggy middle or a dud ending, but you're not entirely sure, then the best way to resolve this is to enlist some beta readers. So the first thing I would recommend is to look to your social network. Are there 5 to 10 people who you could possibly enlist to become a beta reader? So ideally, these are people who are big readers themselves. At this stage, I would not enlist anyone who doesn't fall into one of those two categories. As you get further on in your writing process, you can enlist people who are not really big readers, and you can get them to read the book and to see what their feedback is, because sometimes that is also insightful. But if you're trying to fix a saggy middle or a dud ending, then you really want to be approaching the people who actually can give really solid advice on that stuff specifically. Basically, you don't want to be going to the hardware store for milk. Once you've enlisted 5 to 10 beta readers, the next thing you need to do is obviously give them a copy of your book and let them read it. Now, there are 2 ways you can approach this process. When you send the email out with your manuscript in it, you can either ask the beta readers to pay particular attention to certain things so that way they know to actively look for that, or you can not say anything and then just naturally see what they pick up on. Now, one of the best ways now this is not what I did, but this is what I will do next time. Next time, I will definitely let my beta readers just read the book and see what they pick up on, and then I'll send them a questionnaire asking very specific questions. So those are some of the ways you can garner feedback from your beta readers. Now, of course, once your beta readers have sent all of their feedback back, it is time for you to read all of their criticism and to look for patterns. Once you've taken a lay of the land and you've noticed any patterns, that's when you need to sit back, consider the feedback with your own personal vision for the book and the manuscript itself, and then to start to hash a plan on how you're going to actually revise this manuscript. How are you going to fix that problem? During this revision process, you can ask yourself things like, what could I do to make this scene more interesting? What does my character really, really want, and how can I take it away from them? Also ask yourself, am I including enough believable obstacles? Now, I want to add a little caveat here. There is such a thing between a number of interesting, believable, and tension-building obstacles, and then it just gets to the point where too many obstacles just become annoying, and you can tell that the writer is just trying to fluff the story out because they actually can't think of anything more interesting or involved to include in the plot, so they're just adding another sort of aimless obstacle into the mix. Another question you can ask yourself is, would changing the structure of this novel add more tension or make it more intriguing? Now, another really fun activity you can do is to take a scene that isn't working, grab a bunch of highlighters, and you're going to go through and you're going to highlight all of the action in one color, all of the emotion in one color, and all of the plot development in one color. You can also take this a step further if you like and look at things like character development or other things that are relevant to your particular story. But what happens is when you do this color coding, you get a very obvious glance of what's happening in the scene and what is maybe missing from the scene. And then you can go about injecting more of what is not there. Now, another question you can ask yourself as you're revising the manuscript is the story turning every 4 pages? And by turning, I mean, is the plot developing? Is the character gaining new insight or new information? Is something new developing, such as a romance with another character, or a secret is revealed? That sort of thing. There has to be this sense of depth happening within the novel. It's not just staying on this one level. It's growing, it's developing, the story is turning. Another question you can ask yourself is, are you including enough sensory detail? Is that going to be what helps build each scene and to avoid it becoming a bit saggy and a bit boring? So you can, again, grab a highlighter if you want, and you can highlight the sensory description that is included. Now, some writers recommend that you should move through every sense, so all of the 5 senses, every 5 pages. So you're essentially mentioning one sense every single page. It's totally up to you. That might feel like overkill. Some people feel like it is, but you just need to do what's right for you, what's right for the story, and what reads well at the end of the day. Now, unfortunately, I cannot personally tell you how to fix your story, but what I can tell you is that a saggy middle and a dud ending are totally fixable problems. You can absolutely do this. But in order to do it, you may need the advice of people who are outside of the project, people who aren't so close to it, people whose opinions are a little bit more unbiased. So the first thing you have to do is to be brave enough to let other people read your work. The second thing you need to do is to be humble enough to accept that feedback. And then the final thing is you have to be determined enough to apply that feedback to your work. So there you go, guys. That's my advice on how to fix saggy middles and dud endings. I so hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to hit the subscribe button below. If you'd like even more writing advice, you can head to taraeast.com. I have over 100 blogs on the site. While you're there, be sure to join up to my email newsletter. When you do, you'll get a free downloadable copy of my cheat sheet, 7 ways to stay motivated as a writer. You'll also receive weekly email updates from me with content that I only share via email, as well as links to this week's blog and video. Thank you so much for watching again, guys, and I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.